Good morning, Facebook. It's Tuesday morning. I've got some cool news and some upcoming stuff to share with you guys. So I'm going to give it just a minute and start letting people sort of jump in before I get going. I'm enjoying my caffeinated beverage. I tend to cycle my caffeine. When I'm really hitting a project hard, I'll just sort of like caffeinate to the hilt. And then I have to detox for a while, so I'm coming off of my post-book caffeine detox. So I'm you know, back to that point now where caffeine makes me a little woo. So, good morning. Hi, Ethan. Oh, gracious. So, my book club, I'm in a YA book club. We read, we sort of take turns picking books, and this month we read Carve the Mark, by Veronica Roth. And I had gone into it, I had heard some people sort of talking about it, like that had issues with it. Hi, Sarah. I had heard some people that were like calling it like that it had like racist undertones or something, and I didn't get that at all. Maybe it's just me. Obviously, I'm not really sensitive to things that might be a more tender subject to some people, so it didn't feel to me like I didn't have any issues with it. It'll be interesting to discuss it with my book club, because we're a pretty, you know, varietous group of ladies, so it'll be interesting to see if anybody else kind of picked up on anything. So I had been hesitant to read it because of what I heard. It's just one of those things where you kind of have to just read a book and judge for yourself. Good morning, Colleen. But it was good. I liked it. Carve the Mark, Veronica Roth was really quite good. Got a couple people on now, yay! So a few things that I want to talk about. Firstly, starting in February, every Monday I'm going to be hosting one of my favorite indie authors here on my Facebook Live on my website, or on my Facebook page. So you guys will be able to check out and chat with them. A lot of them have new releases or upcoming releases, and we'll be talking about their books and their writing process. And I thought it might be interesting for you guys to kind of get to know a couple of the other authors in the indie community and how they do things and sort of chat with them. I think it's going to be really fun. I'm hoping that everybody has a good time. And I opened it up to some of my indie author friends, and it was like a whole schedule was like filled up like that. So you guys are going to love it. They're great. All of them are my personal friends, so you guys are going to dig them. They're going to be good fun. Also, exciting things. So I kind of told you guys that I had been working on my little super secret romancy side project, and I am super excited to tell you guys that it is going to be on pre-order in March. So if you are curious about it, this is not a YA, this is not, it's kind of NA, it's upper NA, but it's sports romance. It's very steamy, so it's way different than the other stuff that I've been doing. You guys can check that out. I will make an announcement to my newsletter subscribers where you can find all the information on that. So if you're not already subscribed to my newsletter, jump over to my website, which is just sherryficklin.com. Sign up for the newsletter, get the information, because if that's a genre that you read, if that's in your wheelhouse, I think you guys are going to like it. Again, wildly not YA. So, but if you guys like sports romance, I think you guys will enjoy it, so check it out. Oh, we've got a visitor all the way from Afghanistan. Hi, Abdul. Nice. My husband was actually served military. He was over there for a while, and so we have lots of friends from the Middle East, and it's always nice to see when we're reaching, you know, Facebook across the world to all of our friends. Yay! We had some interesting stuff happen yesterday. Okay, I wrecked my car. I'm I'm okay. Maybe a little bit mentally shaken. I was fine. It was nothing. I backed into my fence, and my fence is like a lodgepole fence. So like I dinged the fence, and the whole fence, it was like dominoes, just like the whole thing. So the whole fence of my front yard is gone, and I have like a huge dent, like a head-sized dent in the back of my brand new car. It's bad, Katie, and I feel like this is so my luck. So I was super fortunate last year. I finally started bringing in enough income on my books to buy myself a new car and to really treat myself. And I was so excited, and I've been just babying this car. And then yesterday, like, I literally just swung out wrong and hit my own fence, and I was like, oh, this is so my luck. This is so typically me. You know, I've had this car for a year and a half, and now it's... And it's the worst part is it's one of those accidents where it's like your deductible is so high that your deductible is going to cost more. You know, you're just going to, your insurance is going to pay for anything. You know, by the time you meet your deductible, it's going to be paid for. I know, it's terrible. What are you going to do? That's the story of my life. So, scared the crap out of my dog. I had my dog in the front seat. I don't travel without my dog if I can help it because... I don't know, I've never been a dog person. Like, I have cats, and I've always loved cats because they're so, you know, minimalist and easy to take care of. And I got this puppy, and it was supposed to be my husband's puppy, and it totally bonded with me. So now I have this beautiful puppy that I just baby and take everywhere with me, and it's ridiculous. Colleen says to write it into a book. That's not a bad idea. So many of those life things, you know, happen, and they end up in the book somewhere. Fun fact, I had some beta readers that were going through the sports romance book, and they all know me well enough in real life that they were able to pick out the things that were like actual things that actually happened to me that I wrote into the book, and they were like, this is you, and this is you, and this is you. Totally true, totally true. I'm really bad at doing that with my contemporary stuff, is that I'll write things that totally legitimately happened to me into the book. Poor puppy. Oh, puppy's fine. Puppy, the noise scared the puppy more than anything. Good morning, Jan. So yeah, so that was my yesterday. Yesterday between running around, and it was my good friend Rodney's birthday yesterday, so we went out to lunch, and then I got home and I was taking my kiddos to gymnastics and just wrecked the car. Stupid, stupid. And it's like, it's not bad enough that you can't drive it, like obviously it's still drivable, but it's bad enough that I can't take it to the car wash. So not only does it have a huge dent in it, but it's also filthy. I was like, of course it is. Of course it is. Let's see what's going on this week. I'm back to work on the Queen book. I took a couple days off last week, and this weekend, between, you know, doing sort of the fast draft and going into the hardcore rewrites, and so I'm into that now, and oh my gosh, it's just so fun, you guys. The hardest part for me is figuring out where to stop. It's going to be a couple of books because the story, you know, obviously covers several years. So, you know, I'm writing along, and I think I've kind of gotten into what will be the second book. So now it's just a matter of deciding kind of where to cut off the first book. But it's very like Game of Thrones, this one. It's very dark, and it's very, if you liked the Queen series getting in towards the final book, it's much more along those veins where we have a lot more sort of mature situations just by virtue of the time period, and, you know, we're in Versailles, we're in France for the beginning of the book, and it was such a different court than Russian court. You know, Russian court was still very ruled by some of the Orthodox traditions, and you get into France, and it's kind of no holds barred. It's like the WWF of sexy times in 1700s France, so that's always fun. Jan says she got more snow today. Oh, so much snow. I will say, the snow finally went away here. I'm hoping it stays away. I'm ready for winter to be done. I feel like it's February, right? It's spring. Spring should be now. I'm only okay with winter through end of November to Christmas, first week of January, and then I'm really ready for snow to be done. I'm actually also really excited. We just finally planned our trip. I don't normally have vacations. I travel a lot for work. I travel a lot to conventions. I travel a lot to Comic-Cons. And it feels like a vacation because I love doing those things, but it's still work. Which, try explaining that to my husband sometimes. I love him dearly, but sometimes he does not get it. He's like, you had a great time. I'm like, yeah, but it was still work. So I'm actually going to go somewhere sunny with a beach this spring, and I'm so excited. I don't think I've seen the ocean. Scratch that. I did go to the beach while I was in Louisiana this year, which was really fun. But I haven't been swimming in an ocean in a really long time. Let's see. Yeah, Katie says winter needs to be done. Yeah, no. I keep seeing my friends, and they're like, oh, they're canceling school today. It takes an act of God for them to cancel school in Colorado. And we've had school canceled several times. And several times school should have been canceled and wasn't, so I just kept my kids home because I'm a neurotic parent like that. So, yeah, winter needs to be done. I'm over winter. Let's see, what else is going on the writing front? There was something else. Super secret-y news. I just found out from my publishing house that the first and second of the Queen books are going to be featured in a subscription box set coming out this year. And I'm not allowed to tell you which one. It's a surprise. Sorry. They were like, don't tell anybody which box set. I was like, okay, I won't tell anybody. But if you subscribe to a book box set, keep an eye out over the summer for the Queen books because they're coming towards you, which is great. But that also means that my publisher also sent me like these huge boxes of bookmarks that I have to sign. So I have homework. Being an author is giving yourself homework every day for the rest of your life. And publishers make it that much harder. No, I love my publishers. They're great. But I have lots and lots. So I have to actually go get more Sharpies today because I used the silver Sharpies on the dark bookmarks and they dry out really fast. Like I have 4 or 5. Can you say if it's in country or out? It's a US box set. It's in the US, so. June says, boo. Yeah, I know. I would like to tell you myself, but there it is. It's a surprise for the box set subscribers. So if you subscribe to a literary box set, keep your eyes out. It could be in there. Jan says she gets one from the UK. I don't think it's UK. I'm pretty sure it's US. I could be wrong now that I think about it. But I think it's US based. She says, bye, boo, I'm in. Hi. Hi, June. I'll be talking to you later today, girl, because we need to go over some stuff. June, is my sounding board with all things like writing and Queen book. So if I've ever like hit something and I'm like, I don't know where to go, I call her and she holds my hand and feeds me cookies while I cry and walks me through it. I feel like every author needs that. Every author needs that support team of people that you can call when something's not working out or whether you're not sure about something, and they can like, you know, they're familiar enough with your work that they can kind of listen objectively and say like, that's a really crappy idea, or they can be like, yeah, that totally works. I have a couple friends that call me for that kind of thing, and then I have a couple friends that I call for that kind of thing. So, Katie says she was hanging out near June. The other half. Yes, the other half of my brain. The half that, you know, doesn't get overwhelmed with stuff. It's funny. Between the two of us, we're one really great person. I hope everybody is lucky enough to have a June in their life, because it's really fantastic. Colleen says, yes, brainstorming. It's so hard. You know, a lot of times I'll get into something, particularly with rewrites. I think this is pretty typical. I'll get into something and I'll say, God, why is this scene not working? Why is this not working? And it's usually a case of me trying to fit like a square peg in a round hole. Like it's just not, character-wise it's not quite right, or setting-wise it's not quite right. And June is really good at being able to say like, this, try this, or try it this way, or consider this, and then I can go back and look at it. So it's really great. I was actually talking with some friends of mine the other day about whether it's better to have a critique group or beta readers. I'm going to weigh in on that just for a minute for you guys. Critique groups are great if you are really comfortable with the group and if the group all writes the same things that you write. Hi, Andrea from her car. Don't hit anything, Andrea. Drive safe. Gosh, only one of us can get in a car accident at a time, and that's the rule. I have beta readers. I don't have a critique group because the first critique group I went to, there's not a lot of YA authors where I live. There's a couple, but there's not a ton. And the group I went to was comprised of nonfiction writers and fiction writers and poets. And all the feedback I got was very, very different. And a lot of it was hypercritical. And I feel like you can really get into situations with critique groups where if you're not all sort of at the same level with your writing, it can get very catty, which is weird. June says she is my critique group. She is my critique group. She's my alpha reader. She's my alpha everything. So I have beta readers. I have a group of people that I go to and they're familiar with not just my work, but other books like mine. And I really trust their feedback. To use a beta reader well, you have to be able to identify your own weaknesses as a writer. So when I send something to my beta group, it'll have a list of questions like, does a scene move too fast or too slow? Is there something you would like to see more of? Is there something you'd like to see less of? Is there a point in the book where you put it down and stopped stopped reading, and why did you put it down and stop reading at that point? And it's sort of this whole list of questions that goes through, and it helps me with the things that I know that I'm bad at, which is like pacing, or a lot of times my fast drafts are very bare bones. There's not a lot of setting. So, you know, if they need to feel more in a scene or less in a scene, and I can get really good detailed feedback that way because I know what my problems are with a first draft, and I can get them to help me with that, to help me identify those problem areas that I can't necessarily see. Lisa, hi Lisa! Lisa says we talk too much. Lisa, if you guys have read the Hacker books, gets the dedication in, I want to say the second or third Hacker book, because she is my go-to research person for all things military questions. I will call her up or email her and be like, question, and she helps me come up with some great scenarios. So I love Lisa. I miss you. Lisa moved away. She was in my writers group and she moved away, which is sad. I miss you. She's in Salt Lake City now. Or traveling the world again, maybe. I haven't even caught up with her in forever. Call me, Lisa. Let's get together. Jan says she's been a beta for Jenny and Davis, and she likes it when you pick it apart. Yeah, it's beta readers. If I send something out to a beta reader and they send it back and say, oh, I love it, it's great, that helps me not at all. Like, at all. I need that critical feedback. To be a really good beta reader, you need to be able to give critical feedback, but also in a way that presents a solution instead of just necessarily raising a problem. If you can say, you know, this doesn't work for me, maybe consider this, or maybe this would help. Offer solutions every time you offer a critique, but then also, you know, don't be afraid to tell me when you like something, and don't be afraid to tell me when you don't like something. So if you say, so I'll get notes, it'll be like, you know, oh, I loved this line, or this scene is really tight, I like this scene, and then I'll get notes that are like, this dialogue feels clunky, you know, maybe somebody else talks here, or whatever. And so it really helps an author to have strong, good beta readers. And it's a big difference from a critique group. The critiques tend to be sort of all over the place, and it's really easy to get contradictory feedback. We had an issue recently with one of my books where the two sort of feedbacks that I got from this editor's critique, I got one that said, I couldn't connect with the characters, but I loved the plot. And the other said, I really liked the character, or I really liked the characters, but, you know, I couldn't get into the plot. It was weird. It was very contradictory. So, what do you do at that point when you've got all these things? And when you get contradictory feedback, I think you have to kind of sit back and say, let me, you know, if everyone is pushing on one thing, then you need to look at that. But for the most part, you have to sit back and say, okay, is there a reason that I wrote it this way? Is this my vision for the book? Because you don't want to change something that is you, that is your vision for the book, just because one or two other people maybe aren't into it, because it might just not be their bag. But at the end of the day, the only person you can please 100% of the time is yourself. So you have to do that first, which I think is something a lot of first-time authors particularly don't feel comfortable with, especially when you're going into edits with an editor. If an editor comes to you with feedback and says, oh, you know, I feel like this character's too... I had one come back once that was like, oh, this character's too bitchy. That's who she was. Like, she was a rude person. And then I had another editor that was like, I totally get it. Like, I totally knew this girl. So you have to sort of decide for you how you want it to be, and accept that feedback with sort of a, you know, really objective, you know, look back and say, is this something I want to change, or is this something I want to keep? And you can do that as an author. You can absolutely go to your editor and say, this is my vision for this. This is why this is. And it should always be a dialogue. You should never have an editor that forces you to change things that you really don't want to change. I feel like that's a really unhealthy relationship. Jan says, do you like if they give you an idea of how they see this scene playing out if they wrote it? Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I may or may not accept the suggestion, but I love getting those sort of alternate suggestions. Like if I'm writing a scene and my beta reader comes back and says, hey, have you considered, you know, ending the scene this way instead? Then maybe I did and disregarded that, or maybe I didn't think about that at all. Seeing things from a different angle is always beneficial. Whether you accept that feedback or not, whether you use it or not, don't be afraid to make an offer, because it's always good for a writer to sort of step outside your own head a little bit and see what other people are seeing. So I think a really good beta reader can do that. And don't be offended if we don't take all of your ideas either, because it doesn't mean they're good ideas. It just means that, you know, we sort of have a vision or a reasoning. And at the end of the day, no one's ever going to know our story as well as the author, because there's mounds going on, character backgrounds that are just in our head that the average reader will never ever know about. So there may be a reason that one character really curses and the other really doesn't. And it's just a, you know, personality thing that we understand, but maybe the beta readers, the average reader, wouldn't understand necessarily the reason behind it. June says she tells me all the time, like, no, this is how that should happen. She does. And it's great, and sometimes I accept her feedback and sometimes I don't. Usually I do. Andrea says, what? All my ideas are legit. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Does anybody have any questions about what's going on right now? It's all so crazy. I feel like I've got like 3 million things. I had a friend once that used to tell me that I'm one of those people that's constantly juggling. I always have too many balls in the air all the time. And I feel like that's true. I don't do well in calm, in times where I don't have anything going on. I get very antsy and I get very uncomfortable. So I feel like the more I'm doing, the more I'm actively doing, the more things I take on, the better I'm doing all of them. So, because it doesn't give me time to obsess. June wants to know more about my side projects. I bet you do, June. I talked a little bit earlier about the sports romance side project. Again, jump over to my website, sign up for my newsletter. I have a sports romance that is coming out under my super secret pen name that I co-wrote, and it is going to, I'm going to send an announcement out to my street team and my newsletter subscribers about that. So if you're interested, you can go check it out. Again, it's not YA, it's not like my other stuff. It's very spicy, it's very adult, so if that's something that you're interested in, I'll send you some information about that. But it'll be up for pre-order in March, so you'll be able to go kind of check it out. It's one of those things where it's like, it's not a secret that this is my project, but I'm also not really advertising it on my social media sites just because it's so different. Yeah, Jen says pass. Exactly. Like, so many of my social media people are YA, NA, or even sort of like paranormal, which is great. And I love you guys for that, and that's wonderful. But so this is totally different. So don't be, you know, it's not going to hurt my feelings if you're like, that's not my wheelhouse. I would rather 1,000 people be like, that's really not my genre, than to have 1,000 people read it and be like, I don't like this. I would much rather you be like, this isn't for me, and just not read it. So, but if that is something you enjoy, I think you'll be pleased. Andrea wants to know if there's any other historical time periods I want to write. So many. I'm actually debating doing something with Elizabeth's mom. So Elizabeth of Russia, her story is super twisty, and her mom's is like, I feel like the farther back I get, the more ridiculously dramatic and crazy these women's lives become. It's amazing. Elizabeth's mom, that was a good one for me. So that's what, 1600s Russia? And then, I don't know, I've been toying with the idea of moving over to England, but I feel like there's a lot already out. You know, when you get into like Tudor era and stuff, there's a lot already written about those ladies, and I love the idea of taking these historical figures that most people don't know a ton about and sort of telling their stories. It gives me a little bit more flexibility, and it lets me sort of tell the story the way I want to tell it more and be compared to other things less. So, Andrea says, oh, the mom's awesome. She is crazy, but awesome. I love it, so it's crazy. Jen says not a huge romance fan. That's fine, Jen. Some people aren't. More power to you. I love a person that knows what they like. When I go into a bookstore, I know exactly which sections I'm going to and which sections that I'm not going to. You're not going to find me in like the true crime sections. You're not going to find me in, honestly, most of the times I don't even get into the romance section unless I'm like looking over at the paranormal romance. I'm not a huge reader of contemporary romance, which is why I had to bring in a co-author on this project, because it's really not my wheelhouse. It's not something I've ever written, and it's not something that I read a lot of. So I felt like to do it well, I couldn't do it well on my own. So I brought someone in. Colleen says there's a lot, but people still love them. What about Ireland? Working on one in Ireland. Ooh, Ireland. I love Ireland. I haven't done a lot of research into Irish history. I thought Scotland might be fun. But then, you know, again, I feel like that's maybe something that's kind of been done. And June says, blame the romance on the co-author. Yeah, baby. Henry VIII's wife, was she German? Which one, Andrea? Which one of Henry VIII's wives are you talking about? Because there was like 20. No, there wasn't that many. There was a lot of them. Again, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot. Scotland has Outlander. Exactly. And let me tell you something. I love the Outlander books. I really like the Outlander books. It's funny. I'm such a snob when it comes to time travel. Lisa says Anne of Cleves. Okay, yeah. I'm such a snob when it comes to time travel books. I even have a hard time. I love the show Timeless, which is on NBC if you guys aren't watching it. And last night they aired an episode where like one of the main characters goes back in time to save his wife who died, and I have such friggin' beef with that. I have such beef with that because anybody who is this is terrible. Anybody who has like a job as a time traveler should have like the basic rule that you don't go back and change your own history. Because if he goes back, because the only reason he took the job as a time traveler was because his wife was dead. So if she doesn't die, he doesn't become a time traveler, so he doesn't go back in time and save her? Paradox. It gets so bitter. This is because I wrote Extracted with Tyler Jolly. We did that time travel steampunk series, and we were so meticulous about sort of making the rules for time travel and, you know, what you could and couldn't do and what the consequences were for changing things. And it really twerks me when, like, he's like, oh, I'm gonna go save my wife, without even, like, for a split second thinking, wait a minute, what is this gonna do? How is this gonna change things if I go back and save my wife? It's such an id. It's such a weird moment. Katie loves Timeless. I love Timeless. I love going back and seeing these cool flashes of history, and I love, I thought that they really should have gotten, like, an Emmy nod for wardrobe, costuming, if nothing else. Fabulous. But yeah, so I've been watching it. Last night's episode ticked me off, if you haven't seen it. I was like, come on, 2 seconds, you think about this. Such a Henry says, more steampunk. I love the steampunk. We have one more book to do in that series, but our schedules are so crazy right now, like, that Tyler and I can't even, like, find time to get together to do it. So that'll be after The Queen, and it'll be probably after the next Hacker book, too. So Katie says she hasn't seen it. It's really good. You should totally see it. It's really good. Yeah, I have beef. I have beef with time travel. I did a panel. I was at Utopia? Yeah, I was at Utopia one year, and we did a panel about, is time travel possible? And I was on the panel with a couple other authors, and then, like, a guy that wrote short stories, and she was like, so the moderator was like, oh, tell us all why you're here, and he was like, I'm not sure why I'm here, because, like, this isn't even my wheelhouse. And then the other two ladies had written some, and I had written some, and she was like, okay, so is time travel possible? And the lady next to me, God bless her, said something like, oh yeah, time travel's totally possible because I was a physicist in my previous life. And I turn and I give her this look, and God bless Ethan in the audience managed to snap a picture of my exact expression as she said this, and it was I feel like I'm okay at keeping my mouth shut, but my face needs deliverance. Like, I can't. It was ridiculous. So he has this photo of me just looking at her like it was great. Have you seen Alchemist of Loom? I have not. That sounds really cool. Is that a steampunk? That sounds amazing. Huh. No, I'll have to check that out. I'm really enjoying... Are you guys watching Emerald City right now? Oh, Emerald City is amazing. Like, I have a friend that, like, was watching, he's like, I'm totally not into this at all, because he really liked Tin Man on Sci-Fi Channel, which I didn't see. He said if you like dark Alice in Wonderland, Tin Man is the way to go. I have not seen it, so I will check it out. But I really like Emerald City, and it definitely has, like, a very cool sort of steampunk vibe to it. Jan says, yes, 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 yes. If you're not watching it, I seriously suggest you check it out, because it's just cool. I love Dark Oz anyway. Like, I like that kind of thing. And I don't know, it's just something, it's very aesthetically beautiful. The first couple episodes, it takes a little while to kind of get its traction, but I'm on episode, 4 or 5 now, and it just gets better and better. I really dig it. I love how they're doing it. And can I say, The friggin' Scarecrow is sexy as crap. Who is that guy? What do I know this guy from? Because he is an attractive man. Oh. Yeah, June says her husband doesn't want to watch it because he loves Tin Man. That's what CJ said. He said, if you want a dark Oz, Tin Man on Sci-Fi is the way to go. I didn't see it. I don't know why I didn't see it. Is it on? Like, did it get canceled? I don't even know. So, Emerald City. But what is this show doing on NBC? That's my question. This show should totally be on the Sci-Fi Channel. Why is this on NBC? This is not an NBC show. Andrea asks if it's on Netflix. I have no idea. Kathy Lynn says she couldn't get past episode 2. Oh, stick with it, Kathy. Stick with it. Give it, you know, catch up to where it's at now. And if you still feel that way, I'll be surprised, because I feel like it just kind of gets better every episode. June says it was a mini-series. Oh, okay, so it's like complete. It's done. Good. I had an issue last week where I was like watching something and they were like, oh, now you can binge watch the whole series on Netflix. And I'm like, yeah, but it ended with a huge cliffhanger and then they canceled it so you can watch the whole series and get to the end and be like, what the crap? Like, I hate that. Don't try and get me into a new series that's not a complete series, because I will cut someone. I take my TV very seriously. June says that Tin Man was on Netflix, but she's not sure it still is. I'm sure you can find it. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. Maybe it's on Amazon Prime now. I don't know. She says, a good show on regular TV? I know. Shocked. Shocked and amazed, Andrea. Jan says, like Gilmore Girls. Oh, I love Gilmore Girls. I heard that they're making some more episodes of Gilmore Girls, which would be, like, wildly cool. So, I don't know. We'll see. And probably just one of those internet rumors that makes me sad when I find out I'm wrong. Oh, Katie says they did that to Eye Candy. They just left us hanging. They totally did! Oh. I was mad. At least we knew who the killer was. I will tell you, though, if you haven't watched MTV's Eye Candy, like, it was really good. And there was the best, from a writer's standpoint, the best thing ever happened. They had this character, Ben, who was in the first episode only, like, only one episode. And in the course of an episode, like, you were like, okay, Ben's a jerk. And then, like, you loved Ben, and then Ben died, and you cried. The fact that they can make you cry about a character in one episode is fantastic writing. Like, it was crazy. June says, don't get me started on Eye Candy. To this day, I will message June sometimes and be like, Ben! It was fabulous, fabulous writing for a character arc in, like, a short period of time. If you guys are ever curious, I suggest you check it out, at least the first episode, because you'll see. Jen wants to know if anybody watches Heart of Dixie. Okay, I don't, because, and I forget the main character's, like, the actress's name. I don't like her face. Like, there's something, it's like Tom Cruise. Like, her face is just a little off for me. Like, it doesn't, I don't find her face, it's like all her eyes and nose and mouth are kind of squished to the very, very center of her face. And it's like, it's not that she's not pretty. Like, she's very pretty, but it just bothers me to watch her. I have some that, like, with some actors or actresses, I have some things like that that just kind of bug me. So it's like, nope, pass. Katie, she's like, I totally did that intentionally. Did you bring up Eye Candy intentionally? Well done. Eye Candy's the show that made me want to write the Hacker books, so that was really fun. Katie says, can we talk about what they're going to put us through the last season of Reign? No, we can't. We're not even going to bring that up because my heart can't handle it. They did a Reign convention over in France this year. I've never wanted to go to France so badly in my life. Kathy's addicted to Lucifer. I really like that show. I almost got my husband watching it, which is super fun. It's cruel. They did the cliffhanger ending last night. We're getting to that point now where we do the, like, winter finales. I hate that. Is that, like, a newish thing? Like, in the past maybe 5 years that they did, like, a midsummer or mid-season finale? I freaking hate that. Just give me a whole season of TV at one time, and then we'll have the summer when nothing is on. But give me my freaking whole TV season. I'm sick of this, you know. Oh, we're going to give you half a season and then nothing else till May? What? What's the matter with you people? Okay, I didn't see what that was. I just got the end of that comment that was like, the love child of Matthew Lewis, and, okay, I'm sorry, I missed it. It scrolled through. Oh, we have so many comments coming through. We have like 100 comments. It's ridiculous. Don't you already know what happens on Reign? Spoiler alert, they all die. I feel like I get that comment a lot about the Final Queen book. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, they dead, honey. Like, this was 400 years ago. ago. Everybody dead. Shh, spoiler alert. You can't, like, complain when you're doing historical fiction and people die at the end, because that's what happens. Oh, June says new episodes of Doctor Who. Can we talk about the new Doctor? They finally announced, BBC officially, that Capaldi's leaving, that the 2017 Christmas episode is his last episode. Do we have votes for the new Doctor? Because, for real, I have no idea. Kathy Lynn, her daughter, and her on the second season of Reign. Oh, yay, I love Francis. I miss Francis. I feel like Reign hasn't been the same since they killed Francis. I miss him. He was a friggin' delight. And Bash is gone now, too. Okay. Colleen says, who is it? Rupert Grint. What are you guys talking about? Oh, the new Doctor. They haven't announced who the new Doctor is. That's what I'm saying. I'm curious. Are we going to get a female Doctor? Are we going to get a person of color Doctor? Up in the air. Could be anything. I don't know. I'm fairly open at this point. It took a while for Capaldi to grow on me, and I feel like he was never really one of my favorites just because his Doctor was so mean. Does that make sense? Like, even when he was being nice, he was mean. So he doesn't really get my vote as my favorite Doctor. Just sorry, just is what it is. Rupert Grint for the Doctor. You know, I like Rupert Grint, but for real, I feel like they need to use some of kind of the more obscure British actors for that. A ginger Doctor. Yeah, the Doctor does want to be ginger, but no, I can't feel it. Oh my gosh, has anybody seen the premiere of Riverdale on the CW? Can we please chat about Riverdale for 2 seconds? It's based on the Archie comics, by which I mean it's not based on the Archie comics at all. It's great. I was so surprised. It's like it reminds me a little bit of, not necessarily MTV Scream, but kind of along those lines, where you've got like these really twisty kind of character situations happening, and I don't know, I love it. Like the first half, I was like 10 minutes into the first episode and I had to pick my friggin' jaw up off the floor. It was crazy. It's definitely mature audience. For real. Like there's some student-teacher stuff happening and some girl-on-girl stuff happening, and this is not your mama's Archie comics. It's really good. Jan says she's never heard of it. It's on, I want to say Thursdays on the CW. Riverdale. It's cool. Check out the first episode. You can stream it online for free on the CW if you're curious about it. It was cool. I liked it. I love, like, angsty teen TV. Like, that's my wheelhouse. So I loved it. It was really cool. I'm excited to see more. I hope they can keep that level of intensity up going in through the seasons. We'll see. Andrew says she should check it out. You should check it out. Do I watch Shadowhunters? I do watch Shadowhunters. Oftentimes against my will, just because, like, I'm like, what's on Shadowhunters? I don't dislike it. It's just not probably one of my favorites. I'm watching this season because I know that they fired the showrunner from the first season, got kind of canned because he was making stupid decisions. And so they brought in the actual author of the books. They brought in Cassandra Clare as a consultant on these, and they're trying to get back, I think, to a more authentic version of the story. So I'm hoping that it really picks up. June says they're going off the rails. We'll see. The books are better. The books are always better. Never in my life, scratch that, once in my life did I see something that was a situation where the movie or the TV show was better than the book. Once, ever. So it's almost always better. The love-hate tension and, oh, I know, Betty and Veronica and the whole thing. Oh, it's crazy. I love it. Fuller House episodes with New Kids on the Block? No. See, this is just my childhood being exploited for money, and I'm okay with that. I really am. The show is Cassandra Clare is amazing. The show is very different from the books. Yeah, of course it is. That's not a surprise. You know, you take these books and you have such amazing source material. The idea of being particularly in a fantasy series like this, and it really is a fantasy series, to be able to translate that to film or TV medium is hard. It's so hard. Because what do you keep and what do you skip? And because you can't possibly include every subplot and every character, it's just really hard. So it's sort of a mixed blessing as an author. You always think, oh my gosh, I'd love to see my book become a movie. But would you want to see what some Hollywood schmuck is going to do to your beloved characters? Like, and then I'm like, how would I sleep at night if I like sold my book to somebody and they turned it into like, you know, some ridiculous spoof of itself? And then I think I would sleep on a pillow stuffed with money. Like, that's how I would sleep at night. All right, so much good stuff. Beauty and the Beast. Did you see the new trailer? I did. Emma Watson's got pipes. That girl can sing. Bring it, Emma Watson. Beauty and the Beast. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for it. Oh, the horror that they turned Divergent into. They did. I will say Veronica Roth did not do any favors. I feel like by the time the last book came out, everybody was so upset about the way the last book ended that the studio execs were like, we're never going to get an audience in here for this unless we change it. But then it was sort of hosed because everybody that liked the series read the last book and were like, and then didn't go, and it became sort of this weird financial nightmare trying to finish it off. So it may never actually get an ending because the studios are like dropping it like a hotcake. It's crazy. Maze Runner, same thing. You know, and I know James Dashner, and I adore him. Like, he is super cool. And I know that he was as active as they will let an author be in that kind of situation. And yeah, it's still, I don't know, Maze Runner wasn't my favorite book. I'm sorry, James, I love you. It wasn't one of my favorites, but it's just got a hatchet job, like Aragon. Helen says, oh, Helen loves me. I love you too, Helen. Mwah. So, okay, I gotta cut this off. You guys, I could talk all day. I love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back on Thursday with some industry chat, if you guys are curious. And then starting up next Monday, I'll be bringing you some of my very, very favorite authors. And we're going to have a good time. It's going to be great, you guys. I love it. Okay, so I'll see you guys next week. Well, I'll see you Thursday. And then I'll see you next week to introduce some of the new authors coming in. And again, swing by and sign up for my newsletter if you want to get news on my super secret new project. So, mwah, have a great week. I love you guys. See you later.